I was a huge fan of the Zucker brothers growing up. I loved Airplane. I loved The Naked Gun. I loved Police Squad. The first time I saw Naked Gun, I had already seen Airplane, was already a huge fan, and I tracked down the 6 episodes of Police Squad and found that they were just as funny as the movie. And so that variety of humor, the Zucker brothers, Mel Brooks, became just kind of a staple of my childhood, and I kind of sought it out wherever I could. And it informed a lot of the comedy that I produced later on in my career. My part of this was really just having the thought a while back that Liam Neeson would be really funny in a Naked Gun reboot. And that was kind of, that's really the extent of my contribution to this iteration. And Akiva Schaffer and his team came along, and as far as this iteration and how it came about and how, you know, we were able to find our way in, that's 100% of the credit goes to him. He really had a sense of how to write for Liam. He really was really good about playing by his own rules that he had established. The world does have to have some sort of grounding at its core. And Akiva was really good about being really true to the world that he had created. And you don't see a lot of inconsistencies in his script. It does feel like there's a discipline that harkens back to what the Zucker brothers did. Liam is game for a lot. If he trusts you, he'll try anything. And the first time I spoke to him, he said, "Listen, you know, I'm not a comedian. This is not what I do. I'm not a comic. So if we go into it with that understanding, that the lines that I'm doing will be dramatic lines that are funny because of the way I'm delivering them, and that's how it's got to work." And luckily, that's the essence of what these kinds of movies are. So it was perfect. It's like, yeah, this is exactly what we want you to do. So he's a really smart guy who understands his own talents and his own abilities, and that's why the idea of Liam doing this was so exciting, is I thought, this is the one guy who might be able to pull this off. And he did. For these kinds of movies, it really is, you know, it's just about casting the person who's already there, the person who just doesn't really need a whole lot of instruction as far as how to be that character. They kind of come in already in the. I mean, Liam Neeson is, you know you're going to get Liam Neeson, and that's the key. And I think it's the same thing with Pam. It's like it's what you want for that character is Pam Anderson. So why not get Pam Anderson? What she's giving you is sincere and completely real, and you know, she's not trying to play the comedy, but at the same time, there's just enough of that kind of you know, natural Marilyn Monroe-ishness that she brings to the table. All storytelling is communal. I mean, it you know, goes all the way back to Greek theater, where it's like the theater is it's a communal experience, and it's more fun with people. And I think particularly with comedy. With comedy, it's you know, watching a comedy by yourself is not as much fun as watching it with other people, particularly if it's, you know, something with a lot of hard laughs. It's just more fun to watch it with a group. And certainly this movie and this kind of comedy lends itself to, you know, to an audience. It's just more fun to have that communal experience of sharing a laugh. People are always kind of ready to laugh. And there aren't a lot of comedies out there that, even on television, that are out to make you laugh. There's a lot of television comedies that are out to win awards and to be, you know, thoughtful and to be important with a capital I. And not a whole lot that are like, we're a comedy, that's our job, above all else. And if something gets in the way of that, then we're not necessarily a comedy, we're something else. And there are very few of those types of movies and TV shows now, and I think people are kind of starved for it. And I think they're starved for something like The Naked Gun. I think they're starved for that kind of movie. It's been a while.
My name is Akiva Schaffer, and I co-wrote and directed The Naked Gun, the new one. So I got the call saying, how would you like to be involved with a new Naked Gun? Which immediately I thought, no, I don't at all, because the first Naked Gun is a perfect movie. Then they said, how would you like to do a new Naked Gun with Liam Neeson? And that kind of opened my mind to the possibilities of how it could be a new thing, how it could exist alongside the old Naked Gun and honor the old Naked Gun and take the spirit of the old Naked Gun, but maybe be a new movie. And so I tried to take kind of the spirit of their style of comedy and their style of jokes, and specifically that they would cast dramatic actors and place them into a genre and be really true to the genre. All the things that kind of were the hallmarks of what they did, I try to keep that intact while acknowledging that 35 years of action movies and police procedurals have happened since they made the old ones, and that Liam Neeson is not Leslie Nielsen. He is his own individual actor person. He does have a specific set of traits and talents that are not a particular set of skills that are just as exciting. Well, Liam, I think, understood the assignment, and that's why he was excited to do it. And that's why, I'm sure, why Seth, a couple years before I came on, in one of his conversations with Liam was like, oh my God. And he realized, like, you'd be perfect to do it. Liam's one of the few remaining true, like, old school movie star leading men with gravitas. And there was nobody underneath him in the list. There was no second choice to even be had, because there's kind of nobody like him out there. How would I describe Liam and Pam's chemistry? Electric. Hot. Steamy. They just jumped into the deep end. I can't say that because there weren't rehearsals and things like that. So it was really just as soon as they started doing their sexy, kind of double indemnity style dialogue to each other, that it was like, oh, yeah, it's all there. Me and Dan Doug have been thinking about, like, oh, are we going to try a montage? There's a famous montage from the first Naked Gun that is very enjoyable. And in this one, we were like, man, how do we do a montage that feels completely different from that? And there's been so many montages in so many movies doing kind of 80s love montages. So it's very well-worn territory. And I was trying to think of a fresh approach. And for whatever reason, at 4 a.m, I woke up and I was laying in bed and I went, and it came to me, and I literally just wrote beat for beat the bullet points into my phone's notes app. And it's almost identical to what is in the movie. It barely got changed from a notes bullet point to final thing. It was just fun to get somebody who's so the opposite of Liam. So Paul showed up, and the two of them together, just even visually, look like such a nice old school comedy pairing of how different they are. Liam's a very tall guy. I don't want to say Paul's short, but we all look short next to Liam. And so it was just nice to get a little bit of yin and yang there, a little bit of a mixture that felt really nice together. Liza brought a youthful energy to the film. She did great because she is such a goofy person in real life, but she knew the assignment as well. I actually didn't know Liza's work before I watched her audition, which is a testament to how good she did, because I just saw it and she was playing it really straight and really normal and very much like a police officer and not trying to be funny. And so we hired her, and then I met her in real life, and she was the biggest ham I've maybe ever met, just a goofball. So kudos to her that she was able to fully turn that off to do what this movie needs. I think the first Naked Gun movie is a perfect movie. But what we can do is a little different and kind of honor the spirit of it and try some new stuff. And I think if you come in with an open mind, you'll enjoy this one and hopefully enjoy it a lot.
My name is Sam Hoffman. I am an executive over at Fuzzy Door, which is Seth MacFarlane's production company. And I've been with the movie for about 4 years now, and it's changed a lot over this time, but it's been an incredible experience, working with Akiva and Dan and Doug and Liam and Pamela and Erica and Seth to bring this story to life. I was definitely a fan growing up of the Naked Gun movies. I watched them mostly on VHS with my parents and with my sisters. We, I was born a year before the last Naked Gun film came out. So for me, the fandom was very much multi-generational. My parents were really into it, and so I got really into it. And, the spoof genre was so strong for so many years, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the team that's bringing them back. I really love all of the set pieces that Akiva, Dan, and Doug came up with. They created this movie that takes what we know and love from the action and thriller genres and turned them on its head, turned all of them on their heads. The sequence that I really liked the best was in the Bengal Club in the jazz sequence when Pamela's character Beth gets up on stage to distract the bad guy so Liam's character, Frank Drebin Jr., could sneak into the back room and get some security footage. And when Pamela gets on stage, she is magnetic. She is incredible as she scats this wacky, zany jazz sequence. And she did it over and over again on set for an entire room filled with people watching her. And she did such an incredible job. It's funny, it's fresh, and it feels like, a jazz club that we would all go to. When we approached our version of Naked Gun, we looked at doing the same thing in terms of spoofing a genre that is familiar to people, that they feel nostalgic for, that they want to have again, and turning it on its head. And especially with incredible performances from Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, we're able to take people into this world that they recognize and change it completely. And I think that's what makes a really great spoof. It's being unexpected. It's leaning into what people are known for and doing something that's completely out of left field in a way that makes people shocked, surprised, and ultimately laugh. The entire crew bought into Akiva's vision for spoofing these movies from the 90s. And so our entire goal was to capture that noir tone, that action thriller feeling, and every single department fell in line with that vision. Brandon Trost, as he approached that vision, did so with incredible tact. He was able to make this atmospheric noir, cool visual tone to what could have been a very easy comedy. We made very specific choices, and specifically Brandon made choices that highlighted exactly how we were approaching this film from the get-go. The reason why we don't see these movies very often is that they're really, really hard to make. It takes very specific, talented people to bring this all together. It takes a star like Liam Neeson, who everyone knows as this dramatic action movie star, who can deliver something so surprising like Frank Drebin Jr. It takes a moment like the one that Pamela Anderson's in now, where she is delivering a side of herself to the public that no one ever saw before. This side of herself that is nuanced and smart. And I think that now is the time when all of these puzzle pieces fit together to make this great film. Now is the perfect time for a Naked Gun film because we all want to laugh. There is something so incredible about being in a theater surrounded by strangers or people you know and just laughing, having a great time. And if there's one thing that this film delivers on, it's being funny. Dan, Doug, and Akiva wrote one of the most joke-packed, hilarious scripts that I've ever read, and they delivered on executing the incredible artistry that makes you believe in it, that makes you feel like you are part of this world. And I think being in a movie theater, watching that with your friends, your family, is an experience that is not often given these days.
When I started with Seth, he and Liam had been talking about this movie and the idea of a remake for years, since they worked together on Ted 2. And it was sort of one of those ideas that as soon as you hear it, you're like, oh my God, he's definitely the right guy for this, meaning Liam Neeson. And I think that finding the right guy to play a version of a classic movie is the most important thing before you move forward. And I think for all these years between the original movie and now, it was about trying to find that person that could do it right. I was a big fan of The Naked Gun early on, and the idea of seeing a silly, funny movie, I think always appealed to me. Even, as I went into my 20s, I've always loved comedy. I am not a comedic genius like the two people that have helped me make this movie, Seth and Akiva, so I feel lucky to be sort of surrounded by them. When we talked to the studio about trying to find the right director, Akiva was our first choice. And we went to him, and by the time we were out of our first meeting, I knew he was the right guy. He was excited too, and you could feel the excitement in the room. And that excitement has connected everybody to this movie from the beginning. From, Dan and Doug, our writers, who worked with Akiva before, but on this one it was definitely a challenge. There were so many jokes and so many iterations of every scene, up through the writing period, up through production, into production. It was a constant barrage of funny. And I think that's what I hoped for, and that's what we got in Akiva. I think what we knew about Liam going into this was that he had baggage from his previous movies as the sort of tough, complicated good guy. He was this sophisticated, classy, emotionally complicated, gravelly voiced icon. So the idea of him playing Frank Drebin Jr., this goofy, insane part in this goofy, insane movie called The Naked Gun, was a thrill. He was, I think, super excited about it as long as he continued to play it straight, and that everything he said felt like it was coming from the guy that we all loved and knew from his previous work. It was going to be hilarious. And that's how we played it, and that's how he played it. And so it was like seeing Liam Neeson in one of those movies, and everything that's coming out of his mouth is wrong. And it just makes you laugh. Pamela was one of those, dark horse ideas that came into our conversation early on with Carmen Cuba, who was our casting director, and she was all in on her. I think that we found her at the perfect moment for our movie, and that she was willing to do something like this at the time in her life that she was sort of open to anything was kind of kismet for all of us. When Liam and Pam first met, you just saw it. They're these two beautiful, iconic, statuesque actors, and seeing them stand side by side for our first camera test were just beautiful and amazing. For Liam and Pam, I think that there was a generational connection that they had. They just immediately liked each other. They were comfortable with each other. I think for Pam, it was such a thrill to be doing this part and to be part of this production that, her enthusiasm about being in the movie, I think also helped just the chemistry and the back and forth between her and Liam. Paul and Liam together, just looking at the two of them makes me laugh. And I think that it was a great casting choice for the movie. He played his reliable, always there, unflappable partner to Liam Neeson's character, the Frank Drebin character. And so it was kind of a perfect odd couple, and it really worked. I'm a big proponent of seeing movies in theaters. I think that the shared experience of being with a bunch of people in a room and something makes everybody laugh is very rare. The first time we screened this movie, watching the audience watch the movie was such a joy. I mean, it was so amazing to see people laughing, and obviously so happy for us that our jokes were actually funny and that they were landing for people. And I think we all got into this business as filmmakers to bring some kind of emotional response, whether it's laughter or anxiety or crying or some kind of emotional dramatic response. And laughter is truly the most amazing thing to watch. And when it works, when everybody in the audience is guffawing and you're elbowing your partner next to you, there's nothing like it.